Welcome to another episode of Live from the Wish House with me, Chris Spinner. If you're a regular, welcome back. And if it's your first time, I'm so happy you're here. My path profoundly changed when my son was diagnosed with autism. I was 40 years old, my marriage collapsed, and my life resembled a roller coaster. It was time for a little life reinvention. And I began to develop my own Chrislosophies to navigate and thrive. And that umbrella is what my life is shaped under. So now I'm here to share what I learned and what I continue to experience with the intention that together we can create lives we love to live. So please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment below because I'd love to hear your thoughts, feelings, and stories. This episode, I guess I will title, It's Okay. Or how I'm not okay with it's okay. And you're thinking, again, what are you talking about, Chris? Well, I'm going to tell you. I am over memes that start with it's okay if, or it's okay to, or it's okay, followed by a diatribe of ideas of what it's okay to feel. And you're now thinking, okay, Chris, what's happening here? You're always the positive affirmation gal. So why is it that you don't like something that's actually giving us that little punch in the arm that it's okay? It's okay today to feel like if you've done nothing but lay on your couch, that's okay. It's okay if all you did today was walk around your block. It's okay if all you did today was make it through the day. I don't know anymore if those affirmations are helping us. In fact, I'm going out on the limb to say the it's okay memes, the it's okay ideas, the giving us more layers of things to feel like we shouldn't go near. I don't think it's okay anymore. And I'm going to tell you why. I find women especially, not being a man, I can't speak for you. So maybe this affects you the same way. But I feel as a woman, and having had many conversations with so many different kinds of women through the decades, some that I've known for my whole life, some that I've known in certain areas of my life, people I've taught with, people I've raised children with, family members. I find that so many today, especially women, use the words sad, off balance, out of sorts, don't know what's wrong, and depressed more than I've ever heard them used before. I find a resurgence. I'm going to say a resurgence in maybe the past 5 to 10 years. Some people will say, 5 years, it's COVID. The pandemic changed everything. I was listening to someone the other day say that people have to stop saying that too. Because whilst I do think there's a little hint of truth in it, I think we're 5 years past, and outside of things that have concretely been affected by the pandemic, I think that our emotions have now had 5 years to recover. And if we are a person that reflects or seeks out ways to reflect through some sort of spirituality, through podcasts, through conversations with friends, to listening to Live from the Wish House, if you're a person that is looking for a new way to think, to open your mind, to perhaps get yourself on some sort of self-help regimen, if you're a person that is on that track, we're 5-6 years now in. And I think that we can accomplish more than simply brushing it off as, I think it was COVID. Yeah, I think it was the pandemic. Now, I think that when I'm speaking with people and they're saying things like they feel disconnected, they feel out of sorts, they don't know what it is, and they go and look for things to make them feel better. And I always give this little caveat. I throw it in there, a little sprinkle of when I use the word depression, I'm using that in a general sense of the term. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling depressed. I'm feeling not motivated. I'm not talking about a clinical depression. I'm not talking about a depression for which you may know or feel you need to get some professional help managing. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the general sense of malaise, the general sense of not having a motivation, of blaming yourself and feeling lazy or procrastinating, which I found out recently isn't the worst thing either, but that's for another day. That's the kind of feelings that I am referring to when I say that I have friends, or I have heard people consider themselves depressed, sad, out of touch, not balanced. And I think that we're seeking out quick fixes for those things. I think it's great that we have online psychologists, and I don't mean somebody that you can talk to privately. I mean on different apps and different social media places that we've connected with people who are teachers and who are influencers and who are motivators. And I think that's all great. And I think the more you stick with watching a person or researching into the life of that person, you can find some really, really qualified people there that are giving some really, really good ideas and strategies that could speak to you. But I also think that we're very into looking online for a little quick pick-me-up, a little affirmation, if you will, a little meme, which I'm famous for posting. But I have to tell you that I'm very, very, maybe two more varies, very, very mindful and thought-filled about what I post. I sit with those memes a while before I decide to put it out to my general sphere, into my general public, because I don't know as if all of them are helpful. And I will say that I do believe that these it's okay ones are now starting to have the opposite effect. So let's just take an easy one. It's okay if all you did today was lay on your couch. Do you really need someone to tell you that? And I think if you see that often enough, it becomes a mindset. See, this isn't a pull yourself up by the bootstraps thing. It's a mindset thing. It's a what I see the most of, I'm going to attract into my life. What I think the most of, I'm going to attract into my life. What I am concentrating on the most is what I will attract into my life. So if you've listened to me before, you know I'm a big law of attraction girl, meaning I do believe our mindset. I do believe that what we think about, we bring about. I didn't make that up. Somebody else did, trying to think of his name, but at least I'm telling you, it's not my original thought. But I believe that what we think about, we bring about. And of course, inspired work has to come through that as well. But if we are constantly seeing those words on little pink backgrounds with daisies all around it, reminding us that if all we did was nothing, if all we did was be sad and not be able to come out of that instance, that it's okay, then I think when we do get up and feel unmotivated, when we do look around and feel overwhelmed, it's that's going to be seeping into our conscious. It's all of that reminding ourselves that it's okay. It's okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you. And now I'm going to sound like the old lady, but I really don't want it to sound like that. But it might. I grew up in the 60s, child in the 60s, middle schoolish age in the late 60s, teens in the 70s, 20s in my 80s. So in those 3 decades, I'm going to tell you that nobody ever said, it's okay if. Nobody said that. There was not that in anyone's vocabulary. What there was real life and the living of it in the moment and the problem solving in the moment and the acceptance of the things that came your way that were not pleasant. Today, there's so many memes and positive quotes and things that are constantly reminding us that it's okay to feel sad about the fact that we don't have these things that we want, and that we can sit for long periods of time in what we used to call, when I was a kid, my mother would say, don't have a pity party. Now that's the extreme. Okay. Because I didn't like that either when I was an adult and would refer back to these times and think, no one took my feelings seriously. No one was sitting down with me, allowing me to open my mind and express what it was that I was feeling. But what it did for me was to teach me that life comes at you. And that as far as I'm concerned, with the wisdom I have now at 68, the wisdom I have now teaches me that stuff is coming. It's always coming. You know, I went to a cousin's wedding a couple weeks ago, young cousin. It was a beautiful, beautiful ceremony, and they were so happy, and they're just two great people. And she got herself a really nice partner there, at least from what I can see. Do I live with him? No, but he's a handsome guy and a really kind guy. And he's so good to her mom. You know, those are the little things that I look for. And I'm going to say, for all intents and purposes, double thumbs up to this couple. But I was listening to the vows. They chose to do the old-fashioned vows. And I was listening to those words, and they were so happy, you know, smiling at each other. And I'm not being negative when I say this. I'm not at all. It's just what comes when you're 68 and you hear those words about, you know, richer and poorer and sickness and health. And those are the big ones. But you just want to yell out, yep, all that's coming. It's all coming. And it's all coming because it's the human condition. And it's not to put the negative spin on it. And other stuff is coming too. Loss of job and a tree falling on your deck. And things are coming. They're all coming. Again, I always use my circle. I think a quarter of it comes and 3/4 of it is great. But that's life. It's coming. And we don't need someone to tell us that it's okay to feel sad in the moments that are sad. We should just know that I'm sad, or this is a very challenging part of my life, and this is not what I expected. This is not where I thought I would be 10 years in. And I was watching them, and as they were, when the music started to play and they were walking down the aisle and everybody was clapping, and they stopped at one point and they were waving to everybody so that the photographer could get a picture. And I turned, not cynically. See, if you know me well, you're going to know there's no cynicism in this. But I turned jokingly and almost endearingly to my cousin and said, and so it begins, because so many people think that's where it ends. Now we're going to the party, wrap that up, wedding's over, let's move on to the next thing. But no, and so it begins. And so life begins. And so their journey begins. And I wish them nothing but the best, but the best is not always going to be. What I wish for when I wish people the best is that they can best navigate what it is that comes their way, and that they can sit in the uncomfortableness of things and experience. We need to feel uncomfortable. We need to feel loss. We need to feel sadness. We need to feel major disappointment. We need to be dumped by somebody we love or think we love. We need all of those things. And so, yes, it is okay to have those things. But I think there's a difference of having those things, knowing it's okay, that you're not on your best as you navigate through, that you're not feeling tip-top as you make your way, but that you're opening yourself up to holding on to all of those kind of feelings. I think we've lost the fine art of having those things be building blocks. See, the other things are building blocks too, all the great things that happen to us. If you so choose to have children, becoming a parent, watching them grow, having the success, you know, seeing what you set them on the course for, or if you're a career-minded person, you know, getting a job where promotions come so quickly to you because you're excelling, and every 5 years you're in another spot. And then 20 years in, people are coming to you to ask your wisdom about the situation you're in, whatever it is that you're doing. Are you a teacher? Are you the stock person in a store? You know how to do that best. You know where you have pride in what you do. There's joys in those things too. But I think those are easier experiences for us to hold on to. They're easier experiences for us to grasp on, if those are balloons, to grasp onto the tie, you know, and carry those around in such a happy fashion. It's so much easier for us as human beings to not want the uncomfortable, to let the balloon go, and then look at the meme that says, that's okay, it's okay, it's okay, till we get ourselves in that it's okay mentality. And then even the things that are okay start to pale, because our mindset is always focused on the it's okay, which even if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, you can see my face. That when I'm saying that it's okay, it has that kind of sad, empathic look to it. Now, if you're not able to watch this and you're listening to it, you'll have to hear it in my voice. I'm changing it because it does change. And I'm changing it because I specifically want you to feel that drop. It's okay. I think we have to say once, okay, feeling really sad about this, and it's okay. But now I'm going to sit in this and create something from it. The it's okay, the uncomfortable, the disappointment is like a seed, okay? We put the seed in the ground and we keep watering it. And then we notice the sprout, and then the sprout turns into the flower. And it's that simple, because once you've worked your way through that whole length of the plant and that flower comes and that joy is on the other side, there's a strength in that. You actually feel as if you're physically fit because there's balance. So I think that when we are looking on a social media, if we are looking to an influencer or a motivator, listen for the language that they're using. The flip side of that is not everything is positive all the time, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Some days I come home from a full day of activity and I feel like I'm on the top of the world. Yesterday was one of those days. Everything I did, every report I got, every piece of information that came my way felt great. I even had a little bit of a disappointment in the evening, but it was okay. And it was okay in that bright sense of the term because I felt some joy in that as well. And so when I went to sleep last night, I felt like, what a great day. If you told me to color that day, I'd take the color yellow. It was a sunny day. And that's how we are sometimes. And who knows, the next day, the next week, the next month, one little thing can trigger that and turn that. And now you're in the uncomfortable state. But that needs to be felt as well, with that forward thinking of it's not always going to be this way. You know, there's another term that people have coined recently. It's called toxic positivity, because for a while it was positive, 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 positive. So when I first started posting on social media, I used to do what I called Saturday quotes. I would put on my page things that I thought were positive, collections of quotes. And I'd look all week and I'd get 5 or 6 of them. And I was also very into posting. Well, I love Christmas. That's my big holiday. But I love the folkness of it, you know, the ornaments and the holly and the Hallmark shows and all of that. And so I used to do Saturday quotes, and then I would always put a picture of something that was related to Christmas. And I would say Saturday quotes with a touch of Christmas, because we all need that. And what I meant by that was not because it's a religious holiday, you need to celebrate my holiday. I would always put something that was whimsical or pretty, or something that you could just look at and say, oh, look at that ornament in the snow. And it would just uplift you. And I did that for the longest time. And then I started to notice that the it's okay if started coming in. And then as an outpouring of it's okay if, we had toxic positivity. And people were now telling you that if you're too positive, that's toxic. Or, I'm being a little flippant, toxic positivity is when you are not really listening to somebody's feelings around the uncomfortable times, around the difficult times, around the sad times, and that you're just throwing the positivity on. And that is kind of toxic positivity. If somebody is sad because their grandparent died, they don't need your telling, it's going to be okay. When my grandparent died, this is what happened to me. Yeah, that is a little toxic positivity. We're not letting the person own. You let the person own, and they live in that moment, and you're there for them, depending on what your relationship with the person is. But there's always that opening of the door for that little sun ray to come in, okay? And I think that that's the fine balance. We have to find the words, the people, the books, the videos, the documentaries that speak in that balance, that aren't giving us permission 24/7 to feel not good and to kind of wallow in that, and that aren't telling us everything's great, it's all going to be great, don't feel your feelings, good, bad, or indifferent. And that what we want, and this is what's working for me, is to stay present in life and put things in its proper perspective. And adding on to that, believing that things are going to work out. Now you're saying, that's toxic positivity. No, it's not. It's not toxic positivity because it always does work out. Now I'm going to give you the rest of that sentence in the way it's supposed to. And if you can develop a mindset around that, it always works out in the way it's supposed to. I always see things as a big picture. I've said that often. We tend to look at the big painting, through a little telescope, through one lens. So if we have a big painting of an outdoor landscape with a pond and ducks and a home and cows in the field and sun shining in the sky and children running off, if we just take our telescope out and look, all we might focus on is the duck, or all we might focus on is the pond. And when we take the telescope off of our eyes, we see the entire picture. And that's how I feel life is. If we keep looking at it through the telescope, we can't always be joyful in the joyful times, and we're going to be too sad in the sad times because we don't see that somehow this is connected to a bigger picture. And sometimes that bigger picture has sadness that stays, like in the death of parents. I find myself recently missing my parents and missing that generation and missing the times that I was in with them more than ever, because the older you get, the more you realize those times are not coming back. They're just not coming back. And that's why I can see a piece of candy in the stores. I'm waiting online. It reminds me of my dad, and I can get very, very misty-eyed because that's not coming back. But that's not a sad thought. It's a human thought. And so I relish that thought. I go there for a minute. Remember my dad eating those gummy candies and the feeling of being near him, and the scent that was in 1968 when I stood next to him, and the feeling of his arms with his tattoo on it. And that all comes back, and that will never be in my conscious lifetime again, in my physical lifetime. I will never have that experience again. But it all unfolded the way it was supposed to. We're not supposed to be here forever. I'm not supposed to have my dad forever. I'm supposed to be the next generation. And I think when we think that way, in an experiential way of taking all of it and feeling good about it, that's when we can achieve. And it takes work. It takes work. Listening to me and saying, oh, I definitely connect with that. Oh, I want that attitude. When you turn off the broadcast, the goal is to have some of those thoughts stick with you, and then you work on it in the way that you need to work on it. In my ideas, in my imperfect judgment of things, I think it's our health. I was joking the other day. I said when I was a kid, all my aunts and uncles used to say things like, oh, wear it in good health, or when you have your health, you have everything. And all I want for my birthday this year is health and happiness. And I remember thinking when I was 16 or 25, what the hell kind of thing is that? All you want is health and happiness. I didn't get it. Oh, wear it in good health. I didn't get it. I thought that was such an old-fashioned thing to say. Oh, you bought a house, God bless you, enjoy it in good health. I used to think, oh, it's so typical and so old to say that. And now I'm all about the wear it in good health. Because once you travel this journey called life, right? Isn't that what Prince said? Getting us through this thing called life. As you travel, you realize that really is the only thing that matters. And that's something that's going to fade away too. But if we can hold on to our health for as long as we possibly can and enjoy all of the things that life is bringing us, and even enjoy in an odd way the things that aren't so pleasant for us, to the point that we're not stressed, sad, depressed, and staying on the couch longer than we need to by reading the meme that says, yeah, just keep doing that. Just keep doing that. Don't face all of the other greatness. Stay in the gray area. There's a reason it's called the gray area. It's not the yellow area or the red area. Got to find that mix. Maybe it's purple. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's Prince. maybe it's purple, that we find that middle of the road place to know that everything works out the way it's supposed to, and that we should be questing to feel it all and find our way through it to the next step. That always is. There's always something else around the corner. And around this corner, there's another episode of Live from the Wish House. See you next time.